Okay, everyone. So, second to last talk for today. The thing I love about Microsoft deprecating things is, I don't know, they think everybody shuts that things off, but in reality that just doesn't happen. And yeah, Geoffrey will tell us what actually happens when they're deprecating stuff.
Hi everyone, my name is Geoffrey Sauvage-Berland. I come from France. I'm a pen tester and security researcher at Orange Cyberdefense and a part-time teacher at my previous engineering school for 3 years. Today we're gonna be about the following subject: Windows deployment services. Is it or is it not an AD blind spot? If you want the slide on your side, just scan the QR code and enter the URL on your computer. So let's move on. Table of contents. So basically an introduction with quick reminders about how PXE protocol works. Then we're going a deep dive into the security concern of WDS and MDT and how they work together and the exploration path. A PXE supply chain attack extracted from a real-world internal network assessment that I conducted several months ago. And finally, a conclusion with remediation and takeaways. So, about the introduction, just a quick reminder about how PXE works. First of all, it's not a protocol. It's a boot mechanism that relies on at least two protocols, DHCP and TFTP. So you have basically the four DHCP exchange with the UEFI firmware on your right. And if all the prerequisites is rendered, then the TFTP server will serve the WinPE image through the TFTP protocol. Okay, important concept about WDS. So it's a core role of Microsoft. You can install it through a fresh install with Windows Server to create a network-based OS deployment. So it enables PXE boot to install Windows over the network without a physical media like a USB key. It supports basically tiny automated deployment through an attended .xml file for just simple OS customization. And it allows centralized management of Windows deployment images, because in case of a big company, you can have multiple master, so multiple OS image. Basically, you have two images into WDS, the boot.wim, it's called the WinPE image, Windows pre-execution environment, and the install.wim, so it's the OS image that contains all of the files. You have two possibilities to configure this role: standalone, just to deploy Windows workstation in a work group, or you have the possibility to integrate it with the Active Directory for domain joint deployment. About MDT. So MDT is a well-known free solution to customize OS deployment. And MDT works with WDS. It provides advanced task sequences for fine-grained control of deployment steps. For example, you can install software like VLC, 7-zip, inject drivers, Windows Update integration, or executing corporate PowerShell script. And it supports handle-friendly installation through two files with custom rules, customsettings.ini and bootstrap.ini. The main point of this slide is that WDS and MDT work together. WDS handles the PXE process, while MDT performs the deployment. So why should pen tester care about WDS and MDT? First of all, almost all of the time, it exposes credentials through the previous file that I mentioned. With privileged account with the attribute password never expire. A deployment solution like WDS and MDT often operate outside the visibility of EDR and XDR solution. And some online articles do not adequately address the security implication of WDS and MDT. Let's move on about the security concern. What are the generic security concerns? First of all, WDS is partially deprecated since 2022. And big surprise, in the beginning of this year, and 2026, MDT was suddenly removed from the official website of Microsoft. And guess what? Microsoft do not announce any replacement to this MDT wall, because Windows 11 support is becoming harder to maintain. For example, it's complicated to integrate the TPM, the Intune link. You need some workaround, and it's very difficult for the administrators to deal with that. So in summary, WDS and MDT increase long-term exposure to misconfiguration. Now, how can we find a WDS / MDT server on the network? You can use the following things. So with the HTTP, but honestly, if you have a network with a little bit of network segmentation, it will not work. You can use just LDAP to queries the Active Directory to retrieve PXC netted boot object. Also, you can use DNS, but it's not the solution that I will develop here in this presentation, and it's very basic. You just query for host name to search for the WDS, MDT, etc. pattern. And finally, you can use SMB protocol, which required domain account to enumerate 2 shares remains for WDS and deployment shares dollars for MDT. So SMB is often less restricted on internal networks, and in this case, provide access to WDS and MDT configuration files. A shared trees for you to maybe more understanding the process. So basically, you have here WDS and MDT on the same core server, and you have 4 files to watch, to monitor as a pen tester. Basically, you have the lighttouch.wim, which is the WinPE MDT boot image. Also, you have unattended.xml file on the same folder, WDS client attended. And you have control, custom settings on the MDT side, and bootstrap.ni. Now let's focus on unattended.xml. This file is used only with WDS for basic installations. For example, you can just put some variable like hostname, language, local admin if labs is not support, because WDS does not actually support labs, which is a very big problem, and some domain join parameters. For the access prerequisites, you need a domain user, just a basic users of the domain to see this file, and the location is the following one. If you take a look to the unattended.xml file, you can see that if the network does not support LAPS technology, you can retrieve the administrator password of the computer with a clear text password. And for unattended.xml file also, you can see that if you want to join the domain, join the computer, to the domain, you have the credentials in clear. So it's a big problem, because if the network is not segmented by default, a standard user can query this file and access potentially a high privilege account here and maybe here, because of misconfiguration. But we will talk about this in the last part. Now let's focus on MDT. MDT have a bootstrap.ini file. So this file is executed in the first MDT deployment stage during WinPE initialization for OS deployment. This file contains a lot of credentials to linked to the deployment share. So sometimes, in my experience, I see that sysadmin put privileged account, so not domain admin, but account operator or labs read password account like. For the access prerequisites, you need at least a domain user to need this file. And the location, you have two locations in the deployment share, or you can also reach this file through the lighttouch.wim file. So if you take a closer look on the following screenshot, you can see that you have also an admin in clear with its password. And take a closer look to the schema. You have the bootstrap.ini that is include embedded nested into the light touch. So you don't really need to have admin account, local admin account, to have access to this file. Okay, now let me introduce custom settings.ini. So this file contains a lot of rules to control the MDT task sequences behavior. It frequently contains sensitive credentials used to access to the MDT deployment shares. For the prerequisites, you need, and it's pity for us as a pen tester, an admin account, local admin, it's okay. Or you need to have misconfiguration on this share. And sometimes admins, sysadmin, misconfigure the deployment shares because sometimes they try to debugging some things, etc. And after years, you can see with this folder with misconfiguration right. So custom settings.ini is not embedded into the lighttouch.wim, so it's pity for us. But sometimes, in my experience, you have a lot of variable, and guess what? You have misleading into a variable. Domain admin, domain admin domain, domain admin password. And in my experience, during 2 assessments, I retrieved the very, very, very old domain admin account with a clear text password, and the password never expire attribute on this account. So you can take a closer look to this deployment share. Okay, now how can you enumerate the different shares? You can activate that with just netexec with -- shares option, and if you see you have you can read that WDS is with remained. So remained is the name of the sharing SME for WDS, and for MDT it's deployment share. So it's by default a hidden shares, and by default you need at least local admin, as I said. Now, if you want to steal WinPE, and for creds manually, you can do it, but it's a bit repetitive in large organization with multiple masters, image, and PXA servers. .wim file are readable with Arch's tool like 7-zip, so you can do it, but it requires a big effort, especially if you have 4, 5, 6, 7 PXA server across the network. So, for example, you open the file and you will harvest open intended .xml file, etc., etc. So I was wondering about, oh, it would be great if I could do it automatically with a dedicated tool. No, a netexec module. Sorry. So let me introduce this netexec module. It will provide you the possibility to do it automatically and to extract some MDT and WDS configuration across the network. If you launch the following command, with all the computers of the domain. You have several options. You can download all the files for further investigation offline, or you can do it on the fly if you don't want to stock the files on your computers. Currently, the NetExec module WDS MDT is not on main because NetExec have a lot of features and bug fix to merge before me. So I hope one day I will be on main. Now let's move to the third part of this talk. So it's a PXC supply chain attack in a real-world internal network assessment that I conduct 6 months ago, I think. A bit of context. It was a French mid-sized company. The organization was very good because they have conducted a lot of audit, AD audit for years. And for example, EDR and XDR, it was CrowdStrike, was on every workstation, every server, so it was very difficult for me to be not detected when I launched some scan over the network. Network segmentation was present, AD sharing, labs, etc. So I was a bit like, it will be a very difficult week for me to find some new findings across this for this customer. Sorry. But some vuln were still present, and especially regarding the holding PXC server. The PXC server, so in this case WDS and MDT, was still reachable across the user VLAN, and excessive SMB permission on deployment share, read and write, was effective. So I thought that maybe I can create a supply chain attack. So it's what I did. So I identified the WDS server, and read-write was able for the MDT deployment shares. I connect myself with my users to the deployment shares, and I'm backdooring one of the existing PowerShell script. So it was a administration script of the company. I do not create a script. It was an existed script. And then I asked my contact, so sysadmin, please can you just deploy a new computer over the PXC network? I just try to do something. So thanks for his collaboration. And my local admin was successfully added, so it's out-of-band compromise, because as you can see, I added a local admin to the local administrator groups, and then I add the following registry key to have remote admin SMB access to have the network. Conclusion of this talk. For the remediations, I don't have too much remediations, but often and always, sorry, use a dedicated network to deploy machines for your enterprise. Or just clean up deployment shares, sensitive files in shares. So maybe you can use a JMEC account, because sometimes my customer says, we can't isolate the PXC server because it's difficult for us to do that. You know, sometimes they can't apply a state-of-the-art network segmentation due to their business reasons. Also, you can harden the SMB shares permission. It applies in any case, and that's it. Oh, no. In the future, considering migrating to MECM, Inventory or Fog project, because, as I said, WDS is partially deprecated and MDT is officially deprecated since the beginning of 2026. Takeaways of this talk. So WDS and MDT remain widely overlooked, which is make it particularly valuable in AD pen test. It frequently exposes some creds that can be accessed through multiple protocols. So in my case, it was SMB, but you can also do that through TFTP if you have no network segmentation, network segmentation. And many tutorials online expose overly permission configuration, often resulting in over-privileged users. Most abuse scenario that I show you here rely on legitimate functionalities and expected administrative behavior. So, before going to the last part of my talk, one last funny thing. If you remove the WDS wall and MDT tool, because it's not a native tool, a native wall, sorry, it does not remove the files on disk and sharing permission. So, as you can see, you don't have WDS here, but in the Windows Explorer, you have deployment share and remote install. So, if you launch a netexec command with data shares, you can also, and again, reach the files. And that's why my many customers we have audited in our HTML5 remain vulnerable, even after they have stopped using WDS and MDT. Conclusion, and thanks to several people. First of all, Claire Vachereau and Samuel Godmer, my colleagues at Orange Cyberdefense. Jérôme Bezet-Torres, my computer science teacher, 6-time MVP, most valuable Microsoft valuable professional. Thanks to Trooper staff for hosting my presentation today. I'm so proud and honored. Family and close friend, and thanks to my company, Orange Cyberdefense, for the time they allocated to me to create this PowerPoint. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any question, I will try to answer, and pardon for my French.
Thank you very much. So, by the way, this is the guy you want to talk to if you want to get on main on netexec.
We've already talked.
Good. Okay, any questions for Geoffrey?
Thank you for the nice talk. It was really interesting. You also mentioned you could enumerate it with LDAP, right? And my question would be, like, finding SMB shares on the network is possible, but in larger or really large companies that can be quite hard or can get difficult. How reliable is the LDAP enumeration, and does this exist by default? So could we just query LDAP, get the location of the shares, and then go forward with this?
Okay, can you just repeat? I do not understand all your speech, please.
Sorry. So you mentioned that you could enumerate it with LDAP, right?
Yes.
Is this enabled by default? So could we, instead of searching manually for the SMB share, just make an LDAP query, look where this bootable files are, and then go forward with this?
Yes, but by default you can't. You can enumerate the shares of deployment shares and remist. Basically, it will trigger some detection if you have an XDR solution into the networks, but you can do it manually by just open a file explorer, enter the creds, steal the WinPE image, and etc.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Any more questions? Then, thank you, Geoffrey.
Thank you so much, guys.